Myron, are you ready for a first question?
I sure am.
Um, Question: how do anger and ego relate to each other?
Well, anger is ego. Anger is fear. There's only love and fear. If it's not love, then it's fear. Anger is not love, so it's fear. Why are we angry? Because we're afraid. And so there's some fear thought in the mind that needs to be healed. If it's around a specific situation, then that's a great way to work. Because, like, for instance, a lot of people are having fear about what's going on in the world right now. And so the the fear will come out often as anger. You can see that, especially if you're on Facebook and can scroll through all the terrible things
Right.
people are saying. And that is just the ego way of looking at fear. It's like, if I'm going to be attacked, I'm going to defend myself, or I'm going to attack first or attack back. So if it's anger, it's just your ego. And it's a very good thing to know. Because if it's that's the darkness. The anger is a darkness. It's a dark the anger is like a smoke that lets you know there's a fire. And the fire is your fear. The anger is a smoke. It's a feeling that lets you know that you have something to a belief to be healed in your mind. It's very helpful to work with specifics.
Um, and that is, to me, what you just said is incredibly helpful because we don't have to um, we don't have to push that anger aside. We don't have to fight it. We don't have to deny it. We just need to recognize it. That I'm feeling. I love uh, the Buddha said in the Dhammapada that we are not punished for our anger. We're punished by our anger. Anger itself is the punishment. Um, and the Course doesn't say, don't ever get angry,
No.
but recognize one, that you're angry, two, where that anger is coming from. And then everything we do is handed over to the Holy Spirit, is handed over to Jesus.
Yes.
It's a very simple path.
Yes, it sure is. And so when I'm handing it over, then I will talk to Jesus about it. I mean, I talk to him like he's my brother, which he is, and like he's right next to me, which he is, right next to me in my mind. And I just tell him, I'm feeling all this anger. I don't know where it's coming from. It's rage because it is. Whether you're annoyed or you're enraged, it's all the same thing. There's no hierarchy in illusions. They're all the same. Illusion is an illusion. So whatever I'm feeling, I've got this rage coming up, and I don't know what it's all about. I got very upset with someone that I love because of what they said to me. And that doesn't happen too often, but it did. And so I'm not going to pretend it didn't or deny it or try to bypass it by saying, "Oh, no, I don't get angry anymore." Well, yeah, obviously, I just did. So I looked at that with Jesus. I told him how I felt, and then he helped me because I began to see that I felt, "Oh, I know what this is. That's unworthiness." I feel attacked because this person I love is not honoring me. And so I feel unworthy. I don't feel loved. I don't feel respected. I don't feel any of those things that the ego likes to feed me. And so I said, okay, Holy Spirit, heal this belief in unworthiness. How could I be unworthy? The Course says your worth is not established by anything that you say or do, it's established by God in your creation. Nothing can change that. That's our whole problem. The ego's got us convinced that we can create ourselves. We can recreate ourselves different than what God created, but that's not possible. I am worthy. Nothing changes that. So, that's what he gives me is like stuff like that so that it helped me to let go. Let me let go of that. And then when I looked at the person who said it, I saw his fear. He was just talking from his fear. I understand that. I was just talking from mine. So I can understand fear. And so I can forgive that belief, let it go. That's all forgiveness is, let go. just let go, and everything is fine.
Um, just a few moments ago, you mentioned um, a classroom and that it was these lessons were specifically, I can get that word sooner or later, specifically drawn up by us, for us. Um, just that realization alone would take care of a whole lot of judgment, wouldn't it? If we knew nothing is happening by chance or accident, that these are lessons that we have called for ourselves
Yes,
in order to learn, as and we can ask to learn gently. Not every lesson has to be, you know, a harsh, painful lesson. We can ask for these lessons to be gentle,
yes,
and we're not left alone. We have a master teacher
yes,
who's going to help us through all of this. Um, to me, that's a huge game changer. Is knowing I can't judge and I can't blame because this is my dream and this is my classroom and these are my lessons.
exactly. I remember a friend of mine said one time, this was actually a dream she had, and in the dream, she's very angry at her partner or somebody, I forget who it was. Anyway, she's very angry at someone. And she said, "But I'm right. He's wrong. And I'm right." And this is such a common argument the ego gives, right? But you're right. You can't just give in. You're right. And that's what she was doing in her dream. And she like turns to Jesus in her dream and she says, "I'm right, aren't I?" And Jesus says, "It's your dream."
Um,
So,
and of course, there's a very specific answer uh, for that. Do you want to be right? Because we can insist on being right as much as we want. And as Jesus said in the dream, he's never going to say, "Don't do that." But the question is, how do you feel at the insistence of being right?
yes, yes. Oh man, it is so not worth it. Like, I'm never right because I'm in a dream. I don't remember the truth. I don't remember who I am. I don't remember why I'm here. I don't know anything. That's the thing. So how can I say I'm right? What does that even mean? I'm right about my interpretation of this dream, and that's the only thing I have is an interpretation. That's my perception, as Jesus calls it in the Course. My perception. It's just an interpretation. It's like when I looked at this loved one who was, I'm not going to say causing me pain, but who was triggering pain that was already in me because of my belief in unworthiness. That was just a story I had about it. And once I healed my mind with the Holy Spirit, well, then I could see he was just afraid. So the whole perception of it, my interpretation of what happened changed. And perception isn't truth. So it's not like I know anything now. I just have a different perception, a better perception, a more helpful perception, one that will help me to walk through one of those doors.
That's the great benefit of lesson 25, which, if you're familiar with David Fishman,
Yes.
Dove,
Y-
he sort of gave me that as a mantra. He said, Work with this, think about this for a while. I don't know what anything is for." And the I that we're referring to, is the ego that keeps insisting, "I do know what everything is for." And it is to make me happy, or it is to make me angry, or it is to make me upset, or is it to make me this or that? The ego is very, very insistent that it knows what everything is for.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when we realize that I don't know what anything is for, however, there is part of me that does know, and I can always ask. I can always ask the Holy Spirit, "What is this for? What is this lesson for? What is this anger for? What is this confrontation for?" And the answer is always to choose love.
Yes. Every time. Let me just choose love. If we could, right now in the world, there's nothing that the world needs more right now than love. And the world is a projection of everything that we believe. That's all that it is. It's a little metaphysical for new people to understand, but it's it's the reality of it. There is no world except for our projection of our thoughts and beliefs. And so not just my perception, not just my thoughts and beliefs, but the consciousness, our combined consciousness has made a world, and each of us contributes to that world with our thoughts and beliefs. So if we're contributing light to the world with our love, our compassion, our understanding, our gentleness, our peace, our joy, all of that brings more light into the world. Well, we know what happens in a dark room when you turn on the light. Where does the darkness go? There is none. And so when we do that, there's a momentum that brings the entire collective consciousness into more light. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to add light to that momentum. So if what's happening in the world today is of any concern to you, any worry, any fear, well, then don't add more darkness with your fear and your worry any more than you have to. Bring that fear and worry to the Holy Spirit, and with a more enlightened mind, you will experience more love, more light, and you will add to the momentum that brings us into something better, not more darkness, not something worse.